Hello. I'm just gonna fire it off on Instagram and then we can dive into our live Q&As today. All right. Looks like real life. Well, hello everyone. And I hope life is treating you well. You guys had a great Thanksgiving. My Thanksgiving was spent on the road. I had long drive days and then I finally got to my destination, and I am just happy to be in one place. But like with everything with camper van life, things can go wrong a lot of the time, and so that's exactly what happened. My water pump has failed. I have problems with my fan, and my drawer broke and flew out, breaking the brackets, and so I got some stuff to take care of. But that's part of being in a camper van. And the other side of things is being able to be on the beach in the winter and take off and go places and explore, and the freedom and the excitement and the adventure with me and my dogs. So, all right, we're doing Ask Me Anything today. And so let's do that while we're waiting for the audience to build out a little bit. Maybe I'll just talk about a couple of things that can be helpful for you. So of course we're doing Cyber Monday today, and so it's even bigger, you guys, than before. It's 30% off, and you're still getting those lovely PDFs that are super helpful, that took us months and months and months to put together, about sleep, superfoods. We have one for you for progesterone, what else do we have? What labs to run, what to run by blood, what to run by urine. So very super valuable content. Okay, so let's see what we already have questions coming in. And so before I dive in, let me just mention maybe a couple of things that I feel like very underestimated in our store, yet they're extremely helpful. And so for those of you who are, and that is the connection between digestion and your hormones. So one of the interesting things about digestion is that it helps you to break down estrogen in the correct way. It helps you, keeps the inflammation down. Every time, you guys, I talk about inflammation, there's so much of interest. There's so many of you who have so much of interest. Liver is another one, right? And so and for right reason. And so I think many of you intuitively know that your inflammation might be on the high side, especially when you enter perimenopause. It's very normal for the inflammation to start going up. I shared in the past my labs showing you how my HSCRP, which stands for high sensitive C-reactive protein, which is a great marker for measuring inflammation, has gone up from 3 years ago, has literally tripled within a course of 3 years, with me making actually some meaningful good changes in my life, and like doing more of like warm weather, which is I feel way better, being outdoors a lot more, stopping alcohol 100%, prioritizing sleep even more so than before, and getting on more hormones and balancing my hormones. And even with all of that, my inflammation tripled compared to before. So that's an interesting finding. So a couple of things I want to talk about that you can find in our store that could be super helpful. One, which is very underestimated, is digestive enzymes. And digestive enzymes are incredibly helpful when you are having a meal, and after a meal you feel tired, you feel sleepy, you feel like things are just sitting there, it's not moving along, you're constipated on a regular basis, you burp after having a meal, you feel you have a lot of food sensitivities. Interestingly, as much as I'm a proponent of doing the elimination diet, it's really important to eliminate all these foods that are highly inflammatory. Interestingly, when you actually help your body to break them down correctly, those long protein chains get broken down to amino acids by the help of enzymes, then your sensitivity to these foods might significantly get reduced, and over time you will be able to incorporate them back into your diet. Good example for me, for example, I could not eat eggs for the longest time. When I do digestive enzymes, I can actually have them on a pretty regular basis. Why does it matter for your hormones? Because inflammation is going to help to lower inflammation. That's going to help your endocrine system. is going to help your microbiome. The healthier microbiome you have, the better you're breaking down those dirty estrogens. And so that's, those are and then lastly, when you have a lot of digestive issues, that spikes up your cortisol levels. It's a form of stress for the body. When you're stressed out, all your hormones get pulled down, including progesterone, really quickly. So those are just some of the pointers. So I would say digestive enzymes is something you can try from our store. We have a lovely digestive enzyme that helps with digestion of fats, protein, carbohydrates, and it also, so those are, and then the other product, if you prefer to do something more organically, is our liver and digestive bitters. So those are bitters that you squirt. I should have brought them out, but they're somewhere in my van. I didn't prepare them for today, but anyway, those are things that you squirt in your mouth. I'm actually gonna pull it out and share the screen and then show you so you can see what they look like. Those digestive bitters, they work a little differently, because what they do is they basically are going to stimulate your own body's ability to produce enzymes in order to break down the food, right? So these are the digestive bitters I'm talking about. And the reason why you have two of those is because there is one that we created, which is before the meal, and one is after the meal. The before the meal, it's got a little bit stronger herbs, and you can see that in our chart here. What the difference is that the bitters tend to be a little bit more bitter. They still taste really, really good, where the after a little bit sweeter. It's like I created them more as a sort of a dessert after a meal, so you don't really have cravings for sweets after that. Liver support, the before, because they're more bitter, they tend to be more on the supportive of the liver, and helping with digestive fire. The before is definitely stronger. So you're getting 30% off right now, only for today, from those liver and digestive bitter kits. So as you can see here, that's you can shop them under kits. Okay, so that's one super popular product that we have that you can take advantage of, and the other ones are the digestive enzymes. All right, let me take some questions that are coming in. So Renegade Aura is saying, I have a question. Does the fibroid kit work for fibroids in any part of the body? It can be used for my mom who's 83 years old. Yes. So yes, it does. When you say any part of the body, I mean, typically fibroids, those are uterine fibroids that this is, it was developed for. So where else would the fibroid be? And this works for any type of fibroid, whether it's in a wall of the uterus or whether it's outside of the wall. And it doesn't matter about the age. The only thing about, I would say the only thing about fibroid kit is that when the fibroid is too large, like if it's an orange size and above, there needs to be a surgical intervention, and you can then use the fibroid kit to prevent fibroids from coming back. One of the problems that one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about our uterine cream, which we also have you guys seen our uterine cream, which is a pretty darn good product. And it's I developed that because once I read a statistic that 250,000 women get a hysterectomy every year. A majority of them would be preventable. And I was like, whoa, this is pretty incredible. So let me just, okay. So if you go under fibroids here, I think those are the supplements that we have. So we have a fiber support, this is really the star of the show here. The fiber support is basically has nanokinase in it, which is an enzyme that has an amazing profile at chopping down fibroids on the internal side of things. Broca Power and DIM are there to help metabolize estrogen correctly, because estrogen dominance typically contributes towards fibroid growth. So this is a really wonderful kit that you can use to shrink the fibroids on the inside or prevent fibroids from happening, which tend to be very much of a family. It oftentimes runs in families and is very prevalent in African American women, more so than any other racial group. And then you can also add on the Easyway uterine cream, which is this one right here. And for those of you who are familiar with herbs, I've explained here like what we are using here, why is it so incredibly efficient. So poke root oil is like the star of the show here. And this is something that is an herb that's used historically in women with their lymphatic stagnation in the uterus. Is being used for reducing anything reproductive organs, right? So breast, uterus, pain, swelling, stagnation. Poke root is just like a real amazing mover. And it's been historically used for women with fibroids as well. And we're using a lot of other really wonderful things. In fact, let me also tell you, sea buckthorn oil is I'm using. That's the only thing I'm using right now on my face. Like I'm not having any foundation. No, I'm only having a bit of mascara and a tiny bit of stuff on my eyebrows, and that is it. And I feel like I get this really beautiful glow from sea buckthorn oil. Okay, so that is for fibroids. Let's see what other questions are we getting here in regards to fibroids. Okay, and then TW saying for perimenopause, should you start with digestive enzymes, bitters, or daily liver detox? They all have different functions, right? So it kind of depends on what's going on in your body. Like if you're having digestive issues, then you're never going to go wrong by starting off with your digestion. If you are having a lot of symptoms of compromised liver, so things like your HDL is high, you are very sensitive to perfumes, you get headaches on a regular basis, that especially the sensitivity to perfumes and smells is very, very is very telling, because with liver, a lot of the symptoms of liver issues can be so much attributed to a lot of other things, like, it could be hormones, it could be thyroid, it could be, vitamin B12 deficiency, it could be whatever, right? It could be fatigue. It's like, So there's a lot of symptoms. It's hard to say whether it's like, that's because of a liver issue, or is it because of, but there are certain symptoms that are very, very tightly correlated with the liver. One is the yellow eyes. So, instead of having bright, beautiful white eyes, it's like you got yellowish color. Your poop is not brown in color, it's like yellowish in color. That's because of a bile deficiency there. So that's produced by the liver. You're sensitive to smells. That could be a big indicator there as well, right? So, and your HDL cholesterol is high, but it could also be high because you're low on estrogen. So it's hard to say exactly what it is. The doctor says she has fibroids in her body. Also, those are not fibroids. On her legs and arms, you don't have fibroids. And I think you're talking about varicose veins. That will be something totally different here. What can I do to reduce? And sorry, I meant when you have high LDL cholesterol, not HDL. LDL for liver issues. How can I reduce LDL? I have Hashimoto's. My doctor wants me to put on statins, and I don't want to. Yeah, so that's a few things. One is your LDL could be high due to many reasons, but the main reasons is if you're going through perimenopause, it could be due to low estrogen. So get your hormones tested. If you are showing low estrogen levels and you want to go the herbal way, we have a great product in our store called Estro Boost, and that's something that contains hops and Norwegian spruce that has been super helpful at containing phytoestrogens that can elevate your estrogen levels naturally. So that could be one. The other reason why you have high LDL is because you're just consuming a lot of either junk food or processed carbohydrates, and if you're not, then a lot of sugar, alcohol, all of those. It's actually the sugar, you guys, in the body that is causing high cholesterol and messes up our cardiovascular health, and not fat. So unless you're consuming fats from like highly processed foods, highly saturated crappy foods, then yes, but it's not like if you like people who do keto in a healthy way don't get high LDL cholesterol. So that is all right. I'm gonna go over to Oh, there's one more question here. Colette is asking, just seeing this, can share anything on brain fog and energy during perimenopause. So brain fog it's both of them are pretty tricky, right? Because they can be caused by so many things. My suggestion would be for you to Colette to do like a baseline, right, for perimenopause. And the baseline for perimenopause would be to get an anti-inflammatory diet. So like the way I've written about it I have 2 cookbooks, Cooking for Hormone Balance and Overcoming Estrogen Dominance. Both of them are available on Amazon. Start eating an anti-inflammatory diet that's also dense with nutrients as a baseline. Then after that, brain fog can be resulting from so many things. It could be low thyroid, it could be low magnesium levels. We have a great magnesium product in our store called, 2 that gives you energy, Mag Energy, and the other one is Brainy Mag. And so both of them can be super helpful if that brain fog and energy is due to magnesium deficiency, right? So this is the part that is kind of is difficult to say what it is without knowing your health history or having your labs done. So I just want to show you, for those of you who are interested, Brainy Mag is a really wonderful product. It's pretty expensive, but you're getting 30% off right now. This is till end of today. And this can be, this is the only form of magnesium that penetrates your brain, as it's written here, magnesium to cross the blood-brain barrier. And it tastes really, really nice. Like you put it in the water, it's in this powder form here. You put it in the water, dissolve it, and it's got a berry flavor, and it tastes really, really nice. Energy is another product we have called Mag Energy, and we call it that because it is highly energizing. So this is a form of magnesium that's called magnesium malate, that can be super helpful. But I also want to be very fair to you, and that is, if your energy is low because of thyroid or because of low DHEA, testosterone, low estrogen, all of those can be causing brain fog and fatigue issues. So you wouldn't really know until you test properly. If you want to take advantage of some products and just get them right now, and try them out, then see if that helps, it's great. If you want to go a little bit more upstream and see what is the root cause of your issues, then testing, I would say, will be a lot more telling at that point. Okay, so let me go back to, I lost you guys. I'm just trying to figure out where am I with, okay, I'm gonna just close everything here. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, so good morning. I've had some low progesterone. Which quantity of Vitex do I have to take, and how in a day? So 200 milligrams is what is recommended, and you can take it any time during the day. And we do have a Vitex product in our store. It's called Chaseberry Plus. It's got black cohosh in it as well. Okay, let me go over to Instagram and take a look at what you guys are saying there. So we have another question again. Sorry, I cannot, from Instagram, I cannot display it on the screen, but I'm just going to read it. Inessa is saying what to do early perimenopause with adenomyosis. Is HRT an option? Main issue, hot and freezing sensations in the face. So when you have adenomyosis, which is basically fibroids, is I talked about it at the beginning, right? If you really look at the main causes, what causes the growth of fibroids is estrogen dominance. So the kit that we put together for fibroids, the fibroid cream that I showed you how to shop it in our store, is going to help you to get the metabolism of estrogen corrected. And then the Ease Away cream, which is the uterine cream, helps to shrink the fibroids if it's still shrinkable at that point. HRT is an option. Yes, it could be an option, especially progesterone can be an option. But here's the thing. If you were just upping your HRT and you're adding, if your doctor's putting on HRT and you're putting that more estrogen into your body and your body is not metabolizing them correctly, you're producing too many dirty estrogens, then it's going to actually make the fibroids worse. if you are, so that's really important. The other thing with HRT can help is by you adding some progesterone, and that way the balance between estrogen and progesterone can balance itself out. Let me just mention there's two reasons why we have estrogen dominance. Number one is the way we're breaking down those estrogens to clean and dirty is unfavorable. You're producing too many dirty estrogens, and for that, metabolism of estrogen is we have a kit for that, which is you can look at the fibroid kit, or you can also look at the estrogen dominance, estrogen reset kit. I would go, if you have a fibroid and problems with estrogen dominance, I would go with the fibroid kit. And then the second type of estrogen dominance happens when the balance between progesterone and estrogen is off, right? And so that way you correct that by adding more progesterone. So this is why HRT, in your case, Alyssa, can be helpful. Inessa, sorry. What else is asking? What can help with spotting after periods and till ovulation? So she's 39 years old. So classically, when you have low progesterone is when you start having spotting after your period. So it's typically, it happens like in terms of before ovulation, during time of ovulation. So the easiest thing to do is just to correct your progesterone. You can do that. We have two products in our store. One is Cheeseberry, which is Vitex. It's used traditionally in Europe to raise progesterone levels in women. You can try that. Our Cheeseberry is a pill. It's a supplement in form of a dried herb. Or if you try that, it doesn't work for you, then using progesterone, which is our number 2 selling product, progesterone can really help. And this is a topical progesterone made from yams. Jen Rose Clay saying, so much online about cortisol and how that affects hormones and weight gain, loss energy. What's your advice on realistically reducing cortisol levels? So assuming that they are low, I feel like cortisol and the whole adrenal fatigue, which is really the HPA, axis dysregulation, is one of the most difficult things to fix. And, we have something, for example, called adrenal TLC, and I personally take it. Like, for example, when I'm traveling, for those of you who are just joining us, I'm in Mexico right now. I'm a snowbird. I'm becoming a snowbird, so avoiding the Colorado winters. I had rented out my house, moved. I am in Mexico for a while. I'm in a camper van, as you can see. And, and that's what makes me really happy. But during times of travel, like I've just finished a long stretch of travels, I will always take adrenal TLC. I will start it like a week before, and I'm taking it right now because it takes pressure on the body. At the end of the day, is the adrenal TLC or any adaptogens in a supplement the answer to adrenal exhaustion or HPA dysregulation? Absolutely not. I think the part that we are forgetting with adrenal recovery, which is the hardest, is prioritizing sleep, learning how to deal with stress through means such as deep breathing, talking to a therapist about reframing, responding to things in a different way, right? So the problem is still there, but how you respond to it is very different. And, one thing just a little note here, I've had some mishaps happening in my camper van since I got here 2 days ago. It's like my fan isn't working the way it should be. My water pump stopped working, which is a big deal. It's like you have no kitchen, right? And then my shelf just like literally flew out, and then the brackets broke. And so there is that. And the previous me would have reacted to it in a very different way, where now I look at it and I say, like, it's very inconvenient and I really don't like all of this, but it's all fixable, right? It's I'm in a place where it's fixable. I can get access to people. I can order parts. At the end of the day, I'm healthy. My dogs are healthy. Everyone is happy. Nothing serious happened. The van is functional. So it's a reframe, right? It's how looking at but a lot of people don't want to do that. It's because it's work. At the end of the day, that's what's necessary to really deal with HPA dysregulation. So I would say, sure. And also times of stress, let me also not forget vitamin C gets depleted, magnesium gets depleted. So like, for example, when I'm traveling, apart from adrenal TLC, I would also do additional magnesium, additional vitamin C during that time to keep my immune system in a really good place. But at the end of the day, it's like you're going to prioritize sleep do the breath work, do therapy, reframing our thoughts, right? Figure out where's the stress coming from, how can we rewrite it or completely avoid it. So there's just a lot more to it than just popping a supplement. Is vitamin E supplement good in perimenopause? Yes, it can be. It depends on what you're using it for. You guys, I'm not a fan of just like popping a thing like, oh, it's vitamin A or vitamin E. Vitamin E can help, for example, with progesterone production, right? But it can also has to work with vitamin. It has to have, you have got to have sufficient vitamin C to produce that progesterone, and you've got to have your ovaries, your uterus, in order for that to happen. So it kind of depends on the context. Just popping a supplement in a meaningless way is not gonna change much. Okay, let's see what we have here. Inessa is asking, will estroboost be sufficient to increase estrogen towards the end of perimenopause when estrogen is low and a HRT is needed? What is a good level of estrogen towards the end of perimenopause? So the answer is may not be. I have found, and we're going to do a chart about it. Actually, I just talked to my social media team. I want to create a chart. I'm going to draw it out, showing that the beginning of perimenopause, a lot of the herbal interventions can really be helpful. So like, to raising progesterone and estrogen. So like, for example, Vitex can be great when you're just starting on a perimenopause, and then later it might not work anymore. Then you may need to do like straight up progesterone, bioidentical progesterone. If topical doesn't work, then you might transition over to oral progesterone. With estrogen, I find the same thing, that herbs can work initially. Good example is I just talked to my sister this morning, who has been having an onset of quite horrendous hot flashes. And for the past, I want to say 3-4 years, she's been doing like red clover and black cohosh, and has been keeping her in really good place. And then for the past 2 weeks, she's been having just hot flashes from hell, just out of nowhere. And most likely what it is that her estrogen is just dropped so much that the herbs alone aren't helping, and she probably has to get on bioidentical estrogen topical. You don't want to do oral estrogen. It does increase slightly the risk of strokes. And I feel like it's yet another thing we're adding to text deliver. So it might not be the best idea. So just, you can feel amazing by just using topical estrogen, whether it's in the form of a gel or in the form of a cream. So that is my answer. You probably might want to consider getting on HRT in this point if your estrogen is really low. Okay, what else is asking is, how do I know our hormones after... one more thing I want to just say about that question. Let me just go back to that question, is testing hormones. So for those of you who are just not sure... Okay, the question was, what is a good level of estrogen towards the end of perimenopause? And the answer is, it ranges, and it depends on whether you're measuring it through blood, urine, or saliva. I'm a big fan of doing that through urine, and then the urine Dutch is going to show you the range. So, and more importantly, even what I love about Dutch is shows you the metabolism of estrogen, how that estrogen gets broken down to clean and dirty estrogens, which is in my opinion, even more important than just estrogen alone, how much estrogen we have. Is progesterone cream made with yam okay to use when diagnosed with cardiac angina? You need to talk to your doctor about that. It's something I cannot give medical advice over internet like that. What else is asking? How to know our hormones other than Dutch tests? Quite expensive. Please suggest what other tests can help. So it depends what you're looking for. Doing thyroid tests, you can... Okay, you're asking about Dutch. There's really no... If you do blood testing on steroid hormones like cortisol, estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, it's highly inaccurate. It's literally useless. When I was in private practice back in the day, I worked with a couple of women who... Actually, one of them ended up passing away from breast cancer and estrogen receptor positive breast cancer. But the issue was that, these women, I remember coming to my practice and just everything looked perfect on their blood work, right? And their doctor is like, I don't know what's up, just eat better and exercise more, right? Kind of, sending them to a psychiatrist or psychologist, right? And you know that drill. And what turned out that it was is that it was just the blood testing was highly inaccurate. And when we did back then, there was no Dutch, so we did saliva testing, and then saliva was already showing certain things like the estrogen progesterone ratios was off. I personally am not a fan of saliva testing. I've done it in tandem with Dutch, and Dutch was so much more representative of how I felt at that time. And more importantly, Dutch also shows you the metabolism of estrogen, which is so important, something that saliva doesn't show, which I think is a huge miss. Rachel is asking, can you recommend something for eczema and sensitive areas? I have been on elimination diet for quite a while, but my skin still flares up. So Rachel, I would say adding digestive enzymes and adding our liver and digestive bitters might be a really good idea to break down that food. I have found that 99% of the time, eczema is a result of some nutritional issues and some kind of a sensitivity. The elimination diet would exclude, let's just say, dairy, soy, corn, gluten, eggs, right? So maybe these 5 things. I had issues with eczema, and guess what? Mine were, as a kid, it was caused by eggs, something a lot of people are really surprised to hear because they're supposed to be a superfood, right? And then as an adult, I developed a sensitivity to, and this is after taking a round of antibiotics, unfortunately. I had no choice. I got Giardia, went on antibiotics, and after that, I developed a couple of food sensitivities, including coconut. So today, I cannot eat coconut. When I do, it causes a lot on a regular basis. It causes an eczema flare-up. So who would have thought? And so you need to figure out what is yours. And one of the things you could do is do a food sensitivity testing. What else is asking? Borderline FSH and LH on the 12th day of cycle. What does it mean? It just means you're going towards you're going through perimenopause. JRK is asking, what vitamin C dosage are you recommending and what form? We have a vitamin C in our store that's half food, half absorbic acid. You do something called the Bell test, stress test. Magnesium, same as vitamin C. Both of them are interesting. They get depleted really quickly, especially times of stress. And one way you can do, what you can do for yourself is called the bowel testing method, where you increase the dosages until you get a diarrhea or loose stool, and then you back off to whatever the dosage. So it could be, for one person, it could be 300 milligrams of vitamin C is totally enough. And another person might need as much as 2-3 grams because she is so depleted, right? So you can use that method to then to determine what is your dose. And typically, when you, let's just say your dose is very high and like 3 grams, which is high, but it could be that you're so deficient, and a lot of people are that deficient, especially after stressful time in their lives. Then what you can do is you can then start going down on the dosage. As your body starts replenishing, then you can start reducing it down to 2 grams and then 1 gram, right, and so on. Inessa is asking, what's a good bioidentical progesterone? Well, I'm going to be biased, and we have it in our store. So since we are talking about getting 30% off today at our store, I would love to invite you to try us out. It's called Progest Pure. It's made with yams. It's in a micronized form. So that means it's made small enough to nanoparticles that it can go through the skin and penetrate and actually get into your lymphatic system. One thing I want to share with you guys, I'm going to do a reel about it because it's a pretty interesting factoid, and that is, make sure that when you're using bioidentical hormones in the form of topicals, like our progesterone cream, you rotate your places. I've just had a little episode of having my estrogen suddenly drop, and I could feel the hot flashes coming on, and I thought maybe it was before coming to Mexico. I had a lot of things to prepare, the van, the house for rental, and so on. And I thought maybe it's the additional stress and da-da-da. But anyway, I did a Dutch test just to see. And long and behold, my estrogen came back really low. And I was like, this is really interesting because I've been religiously doing my estrogen, topical estrogen on a daily basis. And what it turned out to be is that I was always applying it on my forearms here. And so that's what's causing it to not absorb correctly. So it's really important to be rotating your places. So you can put it on the forearm, you can put it on your arm, you can put it under your arm here, you can put it in the back of your neck, you can put it on your feet, behind your knees, you can put it on your chest, and so on. And so it's really important to rotate it. So, and that applies to all topical hormones, not just estrogen, but DHEA if you're using that, or our progesterone as well. So that got a little factoid there. Is spearmint tea fine to use every day for hormones? It totally is, yes. What else is asking? How much magnesium glycinate to take in perimenopause? So you can do the bowel test that I mentioned, and then go up and see. With glycinate, you might not get like a diarrhea like the way you get with citrate, but you're gonna get some discomfort, digestive discomfort. And you know, some women, I mean, I've seen women who, for example, when I travel, I do about 600 milligrams. I've seen women who need to take like 16 or 1800 milligrams in order to replenish and get any kind of GI stuff because they're so depleted. So the dose varies. Is 39 too early for perimenopause? My doctor says I'm not. So it absolutely can be. Everyone is different. First of all, let me also say that most women's perimenopause starts way earlier than they think. I'm 51 right now. I'm about to be 52 next month. And the thing is that when I look back at my own trajectory, I entered my perimenopause already started about 7 years ago. When I first moved to Boulder in Colorado, I was having these zaps in the back of my head. And I thought, oh my God, this like, first time I got it, I'm like, am I getting a stroke? But then with my diet and lifestyle, very unlikely. And I don't have any history of strokes in my family. So I kind of ignored it. But now I know that those zaps are one of the symptoms of hormone changes. So your changes, so that means I was 44 when that was happening, 43 when that was happening, right? So everyone is different, and what you would know is from the symptoms. So first of all, your hormonal changes change. You can measure your FSH and LH and see, especially FSH is very easy. If it's anything above touching 30, or you're not 30 yet, but like you should be 1 or 2 when you're menstruating, but when it's touching 30, 40, then you know that you're headed that way. But also your cycle changes, right? So when you enter perimenopause, like the days of your bleeding might get reduced. Let's say if your average was 5 days, now you're down to like 4 days or maybe 3.5 days. And then instead of having full 28-day cycle, you might be now going down to maybe 26 days, right? So those are initial changes. And it's not unusual. I mean, 39 is totally plausible. How long do you use progesterone before seeing effects? Also, only 2 weeks after ovulation, every day. For how long? Okay, so one of the things you're gonna get is our progesterone PDF ebook with the purchase. I can't remember right now on what's the value, but if not, then ask my team at support@hormonesbalance.com to send you a PDF that I said we'll send you the PDF, the ebook on how to use progesterone. The very short version of that is that if you are still cycling, you want to do it, pretend like you're doing only in the luteal phase. So from time of ovulation or about 2 weeks after your period until you get your next period, right? So that's your luteal phase, however long it is, and you break it for 2 weeks. If you are in perimenopause and you are already on the tail end of it and you're not planning to get pregnant, then you can do it from day 5 of your cycle. So day 1 is your period. For 5 days you don't do it, then you start the progesterone, and then you continue on until your next period. So those are just the 2 common methods. Let me go over to let me take a few more questions here. Sarah is asking, how many times do you have to wait to, how long do you have to wait to see if Vitex works or not? I would say for an entire month of taking Vitex, and you should see the results. For some women, it literally happens within like days. They can feel like the ovaries are functioning better, they're feeling calmer, they're sleeping better, their mood swings are just not as bad. So anything to do with correcting progesterone, you might start feeling the changes. How can you use the Ease Away cream while using progesterone pure cream? So really easy. Ease Away cream is a uterine cream for uterus and PMS, you guys. So it's not just fibroids, but it's also for PMS, and which tends to be PMS for a lot of women in perimenopause actually gets worse, and so that's very typical. So what you can do is the Ease Away cream goes on your abdomen, right? Where Progest Pure cream, you apply it on thin parts of your skin. So like I was mentioning, forearms here, it can be on your décolletage here, it can be at the back of your neck, it can be on your feet, it can be behind your knees, and you circulating those. Where Ease Away cream is just a uterine cream, and you don't need to circulate it. So for those of you asking for testing, I'm not going to talk about this today because if you're on our mailing list, we did a whole webinar with Dr. Alan Hopkins that explains everything you need to test. And those literally was a 2-hour workshop. So I can't do that on a short call like this. So just, if you don't know, if you're not on a mailing list, then ask my team to add you to our mailing list or send you the recording, and then you can watch it from there. All right, Magdalena, I think it's a Polish name, Sławiec, is saying, is the Progest Pure cream safe when you have Hashimoto's and fibroids? When days do you apply it in perimenopause, after ovulation, after periods? So I think I've already answered that, and the answer is yes, it is safe. In fact, my good friend, Dr. Isabella Wentz, and I collaborate a lot, and she has been promoting the Progest Pure cream number of times, and so and it can be definitely, it's not just safe with fibroids, but it's actually recommended to be used with fibroids. So I hope you heard the first part of the call today when I was talking about correcting estrogen dominance as the leading cause of fibroids, and that is how you metabolize estrogen, correcting that, so you're producing more clean estrogens, and we have the fibroid kit for that. And then you're adding also progesterone to it for the second type of estrogen dominance. Okay, your thoughts on using bioidentical estrogen for slight bladder prolapse in incontinence issues that post-menopause, mainstream doctors say pelvic floor exercises. Yeah. So, Robin, we did a huge push on uterus health in October. And if you want to write to my team at support@hormonesbalance.com, ask them to send you the uterus PDF. Then do so, because that's going to be super helpful for you to get the gist of it. But there's a number of things you can do, which is, first of all, I recommend a couple of resources. One is Dr. Anna Quebecca's Julva, Julva, which is an amazing product, and that's DHEA. DHEA is what works on the muscles way better than estrogen down there. I don't know why more doctors don't recommend that, because that really can help with incontinence. And for prolapse and stuff, there is a wonderful resource called the Vagina Coach. I think it's vaginacoach.com. Kim, who's got a great community, and prolapse requires more work, and there are exercises, but not Kegels. She teaches. I have 2 former clients who are in her group, and they have incredible results. So I highly, highly recommend to do that. Nancy is saying, I turned 58 just now, and 6 months in without a cycle. I read that I will not be in full menopause until 1 year of no periods. What should I know at this point? I'm not taking anything. Yeah, so Nancy, it's a great question. First of all, I really wish that we had more questions like this that kind of prepares yourself for menopause, right? And Nancy, I'm kind of jealous that you are this way, because if I was doing nothing about my health or wasn't taking anything, I would be not very functional and not a happy camper, quite literally. So that is absolutely correct. And there is no need to wait for anything. The work, I always say the work starts now, right? So it depends on what's going on in your life. Like, what are you suffering from? And you can take the 8 hormonal imbalances quiz on our website on wellena.com. You go under quizzes, there is the 8 hormonal imbalances quiz, and just take a look at what's going on there. I'm a strong believer that it is way easier and cheaper to start working on your stuff now than when they start showing up. So for example, like your work on having strong bones starts today, even though you may not have osteoporosis yet. Your work on not peeing yourself when you're laughing or working out starts now, right? Your ability to function and think straight and, or preventing Alzheimer's starts now, not when you're starting to show symptoms of atrophy and degradation and become hugely symptomatic, because it will happen if we do nothing, right? So that's why I'm such a big proponent of clean diet, prioritizing sleep, doing the right kind of movement, and then adding those supplements to really, just kind of make everything better. So I hope that makes sense. You don't, it's a very broad question. It all depends on what your symptoms are and how are you feeling today. If you're feeling amazing, then I would say just keep going, Let me just take a quick look. Is there anything else that we have? So one question that we have here is about heavy bleedings in the first 2 days with clots, and that will happen. What can help? So typically heavy bleeding, if you have ruled out, first of all, you want to rule out that it's not anything to do with having a fibroid or having any other malignant growth. So that's the first thing to rule out. If that's ruled out, then typically very, very often in perimenopause, heavy periods, especially in the first 2 days, is very common. And that is also due to estrogen dominance. So again, it's the conversation about estrogen dominance. I talked about it already quite a lot in this call. So just go and revisit the estrogen reset kit, and then add progesterone. That will set you up for success with estrogen dominance. Is flaxseed powder safe to take if you have estrogen? Yes, it is. It's high in phytoestrogens, which are the good estrogens. Not all estrogens are bad. We actually have an article about that. Is progesterone necessary? Somebody's asking. Well, when we enter perimenopause, the hormone that drops the fastest is progesterone. Both of them, estrogen and progesterone, comes down. But if you look at the charts in like my books and stuff, it's always the progesterone that drops faster than the estrogen. And so this is the reason why the first symptoms that you start experiencing is things like shorter periods, right? Because the luteal phase is now shorter, or things like inability to sleep. You're suddenly having sleeping problems, right? That's all progesterone. So, is it necessary? I mean, I know women who don't take progesterone and they have no sleep disturbances. They don't have anxiety and unsettling thoughts. They have the periods just get shorter and shorter, and then it disappears. And I wish that we were all blessed with that kind of perimenopause transition, but that's unfortunately not the case. So it all depends on your symptoms. If you look at our website, if you look at the Progest Pure product on our website, then you will see, look at the reviews, like what women are saying, and from there you would know, like, when do people take it and how is it helping them. I think that's just one of easy ways, instead of me blabbling about it, just say the proof is in the pudding, right, as they say. So for those of you who are joining us a little bit late, we're doing 30% off today for Cyber Monday, and so take advantage of that. That's the only day we're gonna be doing that. And let me just do maybe one or two more questions, and I'm gonna start wrapping up. Renegade Aura is asking, how does Happy Sister Cream work for someone who has breast cancer? So you need to go through, you need to clear that with your doctor, depending on what's happening. There should be no contraindications for Happy Sisters, unless they're going to interfere with anything else that you're doing. I don't know what it is. So you need to get that cleared. TW saying, for perimenopause and fibroids, do you recommend perimenopause kit and the fibroid kit at the same time? Let me just take a look at the difference between them right now. I'm kind of forgetting what the perimenopause, yeah, they're quite different. So I would recommend to do, yeah, they're actually very different. They're all very complementary to each other. Yeah. If you can and you can squeeze it within your budget, I would say to do both. What is the website? The website is welena.com. That's the website that we are, there's our supplement website. Yeah. Okay. Hey, you guys, I hope this is helpful and you've got some answers today on things. Jeannie saying I've been vitamin D deficient for the past couple of years. I've been on supplements for years and I have a little bit of a progress, but not as much as I would like. Any tips? So a couple of things. One is if you dosage, right, can be really important. If you have something called the DVR mutation, vitamin D receptor mutation, like the way I do, you're always going to be needing a higher dose of vitamin D for it to kind of bang through and get through the receptor. I even went on an experiment. I spent a month in Sicily, in Italy, in summer, and I got off vitamin D completely. And I was just using the sun, right? And I was out in the sun for 20 minutes, like 2 times a day, totally bare naked. I had a house and a garden to myself, so I was butt naked, and came back and my vitamin D dropped a lot. So even like for someone with my mutations, it's just hard for me to optimize my vitamin D levels. So having vitamin D is gonna be just dosing it correctly. So you can, depending on how much you're taking right now, you can start off with doubling that. So let's say if you're taking 1,000 right now, get up to 2,000. I take 5,000 every day, and the range you want to be in perimenopause is around the 60 to 80. And then that's the sweet spot, right? 60 to 80 in your blood work. Yeah. I hope I've answered all your questions. I'm just going through. Somebody's asking, I can handle progesterone, even though identical. Do you have any alternative? Yeah, so Vitax will be a great recommendation for you. And then if that doesn't help you, then consider doing also oral progesterone. That could be, it's a completely different mechanism from the topical one. Okay. All right. So I think we are pretty much covered. I'll do one more and then I'm going to wrap up. Elaine is saying, I'm 61, no period, taking pregnenolone, maca, black hash, and progesterone bioidentical cream. My question is, how long should be every day or pause? So the recommendation is, if you, for topical, I mentioned in the beginning of the call, if you, I don't know if you heard it, is to take a break for 5 days for topical stuff and always rotate them. Yeah. And how long should you take it? Every day? Yeah. So, and then you want to do it for 25 days out of a month and take a break for 5 days for the very same reason. That's for bioidentical hormones. Pregnenolone, I don't know whether you're taking that in form of oral or topical. I would give it a break as well unless the symptoms come back really bad. Maca, black hash, you can take them on a daily basis. Cool. Okay, well, thanks you guys for being here today. And it's Cyber Monday today. We're doing 30% off. And I hope some of the ideas has helped you here today. Like I was mentioning in the beginning of the call, if you missed it, the most underestimated, I feel, is I would say, like, your digestion and liver support, because it really goes like a bit higher, up the stream, and it might have so much effect on just your sleep and your energy and clarity of thought, and so many hormones really depend on your good digestion and liver function that we often underestimate. And instead we just go after every single symptom, like, what's the supplement for this, what's the supplement for that, without realizing that when you fix your digestion and liver, a lot of magic starts happening there as well. Okay, I hope this is helpful. I will see you guys on my other lives. I've got a ton of content to update you on. I hope you follow us on social media. I think you are, because that's why you're here. And there's going to be some cool content coming up. All right, stay tuned, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for being here today.